Hello, and welcome back to The Culture Shift with Jeroslyn Jovan, our podcast aimed at inspiring the leaders of tomorrow, brought to you by Black Enterprise. Here, we like to review the success stories of today's tastemakers to encourage those who dare to dream big. Today, we're going inside the world's biggest annual African music festival, AfroFuture. Known for the highly successful Ghana-based music, art, and film festival, AfroFuture has grown exponentially since its 2017 inception. Here to share the company's journey to global success and the recently announced headliners for this year's festival is AfroFuture co-founder Abdul Karim Abdullah. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Thankful to be here. Happy to be here.
Yes, we're happy to have you here. It is just on the heels of the announcement of the 2023 headliners for AfroFuture.
Yes, we're excited to have them.
Yes.
So this year we have Davido, who obviously was just an obvious choice after the last 3 years. We also have we have Black Sherif, who is also a superstar, just won the BET Award for International Hip Hop Artist of the Year. And then, of course, we have Mr. J Hus, Mr. Ugly, back at it against with us, coming to Ghana for the first time to perform. Pretty excited. J Hus is like a very big, individual outside of the UK, and he's been doing amazing things. I'm happy to have him this year as well.
Most definitely. I was even just seeing this debate. Well, it's a conversation online related to J Hus and him referring to himself as Mr. Ugly, and Burna Boy including it in his song, and like just kind of relating it to the pride for being African, Black, dark skin versus what it was growing up for him. And he's saying it's like a newfound appreciation for brown skin African men.
Yeah, it's like a narrative, right? For so long, like a lot of Africans were afraid to be Africans because they were afraid to get made fun of, or people didn't understand our culture. And that's just not just for only Black people who are from Africa. This is for Black people around the world. Most times our culture is not the mainstream. Our culture is niche to us. And although we appreciate it, other people, because they don't have an understanding of it, lack that appreciation or understanding of it. And that's why our festival exists. Is really to give people an opportunity to kind of demystify those stories that people have told them about Africa, demystify, the charity looks that we see on the commercials with the kids with the flies, and understand that those things do exist around the continent, but there's also other opportunities and different realities for different people in the countries, within the continent themselves, and that differ. So we're trying to showcase a whole holistic viewpoint of what the continent looks like, and hopefully use that as an opportunity to connect the diaspora to the continent and vice versa.
Yeah, you're doing it. It continues to grow year after year. I've already known it was major from the start and just seeing its trajectory. But when there were murmurings about Girls Trip 2, and like Girls Trip 1 is Essence Fest and Girls Trip 2 is AfroFuture, I was just like, that's amazing. Like,
yeah, that's like a whole lot of Blackness. I hope they make it, they pull up. Yeah. We definitely have. I mean, we've hosted our fair share of Black Hollywood. They have been a part of our growth, and they're also part of that Full Circle Festival, and really just trying to touch base with a different part of their reality on the continent. So, we're more than welcoming, for that cast of Girls Trip 2. Should they come through to Ghana, we'll make sure they have a blast.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. So now let's get back into just this year's headliners and your process for booking. What does it look like? I could imagine, but how soon do you start looking at who you're going to prepare for the following year?
We often start at the beginning of the following year immediately. The cost of these artists are rising, and they're rising by the quarter, if not the month. So, once we have an idea of who we want our headline to be, is like a year process of really working with them and their team to kind of to talk to them. So, for instance, in Davido's case, like we knew we wanted to have Davido either last year or this year, but it was great. His manager came last year, experienced the festival, was there for both 2 days, sitting in VIP. We had a great time. He now knows what to expect for the following year, for this year with his artists and the experience that we're going to be able to provide our audience. So he has both perspective as a performer and also as an audience member, which we think is beneficial to the attendees.
Yes. And so when it comes to just life circumstances and untimely changes that could impact what you have planned, how do you prepare for that?
I mean, you just got to keep moving. You got to breathe and keep moving. Things have happened. We've been doing this for 7 years now, and every year we face a new challenge. And each year it makes the challenge from the year previous seem a lot smaller, right? So every year we've gotten better at being able to overcome our challenges. I think throwing a festival and then also throwing a festival on a continent where there are not as much resources as far as production, not as much resources as far as financial investment, not enough resources in terms of infrastructure. It's definitely, we definitely chose a hard path. But, anything that we've done in the years past has shown that it's possible. It just requires a lot of grit, and a great team. And I would say that I've been blessed with a great team, and I've been blessed with, a great support system, and my friends and family who have continued to come out and support this event.
What are some important factors that go into planning a festival that most people overlook?
Yeah, you have to be clairvoyant. No, but I would say that it just requires a lot of organization, a lot of planning, a lot of urgency. A lot of attention to detail. You never know what you're forgetting, right, from year to year. And also, one of the things that is a constant that can't be, controlled is political influence, right? So we're going into an election year in Ghana. There's war in Ukraine, there's war and conflict in Israel, right, and Gaza. There's a financial issue as far as where we are financially, as far as Ghana is concerned right now, and where the country is. People are struggling all over the world with inflation. So all of these things are things that we can't account for, and things that we need to battle in order to be able to overcome. So, from year to year, the challenges differ, and it requires us to step up in a different way.
Yes. So take us back to the start. Online it says 2019, but I know you've been doing this before that. I
Yes.
can just remember us being at our Greek parties and out here, oh, come to Ghana around Christmas. And over the years, like, so I haven't gone yet, but one of my line sisters went last year. It's like, it was really life-changing for her. So take us back to the start, how you really kind of grew it just from your inner, your local circle to this global phenomenon that it is now.
Yeah, I mean, well, we started in 2017. December 2017 was the first one we've ever done. And we grew since then. I'd say that I was a part of the era, as you mentioned. I was a Greek. I'm a brother of Phi Beta Sigma. We traveled the whole East Coast to West Coast. We did that Greek party scene. We were part of the happy hour party scene. We were part of when the day party was discovered and it became a thing. And people started going to the clubs, to when our friends started curating some of the best experiences, like Juseo, Honeypalooza, like Pizza Zoo, like all of those things. Around that time, I felt that, well, if all of these niche events can exist, then there must be something where we can talk about African culture. And that started for me around 2014, 2013, where I was trying to kind of figure out what this looks like. Eventually started putting on Afro beats events in New York City, parties with DJs, and then it led to artists, booking talent and working with talent. I was there for when Mr. Easy first came to America. A few others like Stoneboy promoted some of his first shows at Gramercy Theater. EL and Joey B, we promoted their first show. Lauryn Hill came out to see that. Lauryn Hill, then again, hosted Miss Lauryn Hill, hosted her show at King's Theater in Brooklyn and brought out Mr. Easy, EL, Michelle Montano, and just being backstage and feeling that energy was just exciting and exhilarating. And fast forward to 2017, we wanted to figure out a way to kind of touch base on the content. How do we get more Americans to come back to Ghana and for them to tap into what we were doing. I mean, I was American and Ghanaian. I always went back, and all I used to be around was like British Africans. I'm like, yo, what do they know that we don't know? Why aren't we here? So eventually we wanted to do something, and it kind of felt like the universe was waiting for it, because once we put it out there, the response was crazy, right? First year we did about 5,000 people. The next year went to 12,000 people, and then the third year, by 2019, which was the year of return, everybody remembers, we were already at 16,000 people over 3 years. So it took a lot for us to be able to get there, but we wasn't even ready for our scale, when we started, because we were still learning on the job. I had to put on the festival.
Yes. And so we know that it started under another name. And was this something that you were prepared for? Because honestly, when the name change happened, it was so seamless. I don't really think many people noticed. It was just a very seamless transition. Was this something you were already prepared for?
Yeah, we wanted to focus on the brand itself, and we wanted to build a brand that really stuck with people in their soul. So whether you went or you didn't go, it was something that just kind of pulled you in. So the name didn't really matter, right? It was the feeling that was associated with it, and we understood that. But we also knew that the event was going to have to graduate. Initially the structure was come to Ghana, and we needed something that was familiar to people, something that allowed them to see themselves in a place where they had never been to, they didn't have family or any associated relationships with. They needed to see something that they can envision themselves in, and feel comfortable going to. And then we graduated from that, right? After a couple of years, we now know, well, you've been coming to Ghana. A lot of our people who tend to come one time tend to come again. We have that retention because people tend to love the experience. So we now say, all right, cool. Now that you've been coming, now help us build the future. How do we build a future that is equitable for both us, Black people outside of the continent, and for those on the continent? One of the things that we have to our advantage is we make dollars, and dollars obviously rules the world. How can we invest our Black dollar into developing, structures and infrastructure that allows for Black circulation of money amongst each other, creation of jobs amongst each other? I don't think, as far as remittance, Africans receive more from remittance than they do from global aid, from, any of the global entities. So how do we work with incorporating some diaspora remittance into it? If our spending power is in the trillions, and we can get Black brands from the continent, like fashion designers and artists and painters and, all of these people paid directly within our community, then why not, right? So we want to be able to kind of create this opportunity, introduce the Black diaspora to the opportunities on the continent, ensure that they're collaborating with their counterparts on the continent, expose them to some of the work, some of the people who are doing some amazing things on the continent without a platform are doing, and hope for more collaboration and cooperation. And the hope is that we'll be able to build a space that just makes sense for Black people all over, right? If the American government, the Russian government, and the Chinese government can do another race to colonize Africa, we might as well invite our own people to invest themselves, because we know when Black people come in there, they're not coming to colonize, at least not the majority of them, you know what I mean? So we want to be able to come in and support equitably and create opportunities for not just ourselves in the diaspora, but those people on the continent, invest in their opportunities, invest in their work.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And can you tell us a bit about the impact you've seen with Black Americans getting in touch with their roots through AfroFuture, as well as just the impact the festival has on Ghana's local economy?
Absolutely. I mean, for every individual that comes to Ghana for our festival, they spend about $2,600. So last year we had 31,000 people. You can multiply that and just kind of see how much money is coming into the economy in just the fourth quarter of the year. But, outside of that, Ghana's tourism notes that, in 2016 alone, we were accounted for about 16% of tourism. So, and that's just not December, that's all year round. So for us, just kind of really being impactful in people saying, hey, I want to go to Ghana, I want to visit Ghana. I think that's a major plus. We've seen a lot more brands directly hire local talent. We like to credit some of that effort to the work that we've done. We've seen people become first-time byline writers for different publications. We've seen cross collaboration between companies. We've seen marriages and engagements and proposals. We've seen people who have applied for residency in Ghana, who have bought property, who are now doing business locally, people who have started tour groups, so the structure has completely changed. And also we see people locally who are now confident throwing their own events similar to ours. And, all of that is just a ripple effect. The whole world is talking about Ghana. We saw Snowfall do a whole episode on Ghana, right? I don't know that happens without us being able to exist. You know what I mean? We love that, people are, we've been able to kind of add to the PR, if you may, of our country, and that people are looking at us and as a place to remodel. We see other African countries trying to recreate the same experience that Ghana did with the Year of Return. And I love that for us. And one of the beauties is that once people are able to come into Ghana, it eases their ability to want to visit another place in Ghana, in Africa, right? So I've seen people go from Ghana to Nigeria to Morocco to Rwanda to South Africa to Tanzania, Egypt, all along their way to and from Ghana. So I love that people are also getting exposed to the continent through the work that we're doing.
I love it too. And this year's theme is Black unification and Pan-Africanism. Why was that chosen as the theme for 2023?
I mean, I think we spend so much of our time telling each other why we're better than each other. And I think that because we underappreciate each other's value and who we are existing as ourselves. And also we're just ignorant about each other's cultures and the importance of culture, right? I remember sitting, and I'm in the middle of London Carnival, and I'm watching a selector really just kind of like celebrate Caribbean culture. And it just hit me, and like, this is crazy. Like, how is he doing this, right? In the way that he's doing this. And to see those millions of people out there, because London Carnival is over 1 million people, right? Of people out there celebrating Caribbean culture, and to me, there's not a lot of places where you can go and read a documentary about why Caribbean culture exists, why Nottingham Carnival exists. Why do we eat the type of foods that we eat? Why are food so similar? Thank God for High on the Hog, but where are other publications that speak to our foods and the connectivity? Where are places that young Black people on the continent can see themselves and their lives in a way that is aspirational for them to be able to, I guess, bear witness to a life that looks like theirs, that they can, assimilate to, not consuming American content that requires them to do things that are not necessarily beneficial to them. How can we tell more of our personal stories so that we can live a life that's more appreciative of each other and the differences, and then we can just kind of celebrate the similarities, or at least work towards the similarities. So some of the work that we want to do is really do more of that storytelling, more of those things that bring people together. And as we continue to demystify our differences and identify our similarities, I think it will bring us together. And the closer we are, obviously, the power. My dad used to, like, in Africa, we have these single brooms. They tie them together with a rope at the end, and he would, like, take one stick of broom and you can break it. But if you put them all together, you can't break it. And I think that, until Black people start to respect each other, as a collective, people are not going to respect us in the different parts of the world that we exist around. So
definitely. Most definitely. So the Road to AfroFuture runs throughout December to January, and it includes an expo, a pitch and film competition, a music museum, a Rising Star Challenge, a community service day. This is just all amazing. Just tell me what.
That's the actual festival itself. The Road to is before the festival, right? So the Road to is really just a campaign that we've done. It's easy to just kind of put out ads and to put up flyers, but it's different when you actually touch people where they meet you. For so long, like, we've been very passively marketing to people. So as in, put up a flyer, your friend brings another friend, but we realized that there were people trying to talk to us that we weren't talking to. So we started visiting those cities that we felt we had big audiences, trying to figure out how we can grow that audience. So the Road to AfroFuture started, we moved to Cote d'Ivoire, which is Francophone Africa. A lot of people tend to leave out Francophone Africa We want to include Francophone Africa. That's a lot of people around the continent. We hope to include Lusophone Africa, which is the Portuguese-speaking, the Spanish-speaking Africa as well, into, some of the programming that we do and really learn about each other. Most times Anglophones, English-speaking Africans and French-speaking Africans, we tend to be very separate, and that's because of the way we were colonized. And then, we went from Cote d'Ivoire, we went into Europe, we did an event in Paris, which is pretty diverse, pretty open. We did a few events in London in collaboration with partners like Days Like This, DLT, which is a festival out of London. We did a few events in the US as well for AfroCon, also just recently Battle of Jollof as well. And then South Africa was one of our final stops this year, where we had our second activation in South Africa, one of our big markets. And all of this is just our marketing campaign to get people to continue to talk about the festival and to be able to experience the festival at a local, in a local setting space. The hope is that this will encourage people to continue to come. We saw that effect last year. So hopefully this year we'll see the same. And then at the festival itself, we have a bunch of things going on. So we have something for people who are young and they want to party their life away. We have that for you. We have that track for you. We have that track for people who want to be in the middle, where they want to party a little bit, but they also want to learn and connect with other people. So that opportunity lives there for you. We have those people that want to relax and that want to do very high skill dinners and things of that nature. We have those opportunities for them. And then obviously those people that want to give back, there's also an opportunity for you as well. So yes, there's a lot going on.
Everything. It's so rich. And you honestly answered the question I had, in what ways AfroFuture is working to unify the diaspora and amplify Africa's culture around the world. And you just said that because you guys have clearly been, it's like you said, the road is global. You go all around in cities around the world and spread that message, as well as just create more brand awareness. So just for my last question, it's for those who are interested in going to AfroFuture, but worried about the travel costs. Tell us about your partnership with Streamline Travel and Travel Mo and how it'll help with accommodations.
Yeah, we knew one of the barriers that we were going to face was travel. A lot of people who have come to Ghana were first-time travelers, as in the first time they ever got their passport. They didn't go anywhere else. They came to Africa, which is a very, very big deal. And it was scary, obviously, for us, but we've done a series of partnerships with Travel Mo, Streamline as travel agencies, which allows us to break up payments for people so that you can pay, over a course of a couple of months, which gives people an opportunity to save money and not have to impact their pockets. We've also done partnerships with like Air Affordable and airlines such as SAA and Kenya Airways. And right now Air Morocco as well, which has been able to kind of give us some sort of discounts. Air Affordable is another opportunity for you to like really break up your payments in installments over a long period of time, which allows people to kind of reduce it. We've been lobbying the government to kind of get an airline back. We've seen that airlines such as Delta, United have taken advantage of the influx of people and have increased their prices, but we're working to try and stabilize them. And we're giving our audience multiple ways to be able to kind of tap in to what we're doing by, at least paying over time to be able to get there.
I'm here.
Also, use them points, man. Use them points.
Yes, because it works. Like, come on, the more you travel, the more points you get, and it's just always going to help you in the long run.
But the beauty about Ghana is like once you get over the hump of the airline, your money stretches a long way on the continent. You know what I mean? As long as you can live a very nice lifestyle on the continent for not so much. It's really just the barriers of the airlines, and hopefully as we continue to grow this festival, we'll be able to get to a place where we can find cheaper ways to get people to Ghana.
There is something just popped to me I wanted to ask. I saw a tweet. This was at the end of, the recent world tours, some, like the superstar pop stars were just doing. And someone was like, so Africa's not a part of the world? Is that, because, we don't often pay attention to the fact that when a big name goes on a world tour, it kind of just skips over the motherland. Are you looking to change that? Do you believe AfroFuture is going to start to help remind some of our big, even Black superstars to include Africa in their world tour stops?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not their fault completely. I mean, we definitely want them to invest on the continent. The exchange rates are very different. And as you and I both know, these concert costs are outrageous, right? Some of these costs may be somebody's yearly salary for the whole year on the continent. So there is a barrier there. There's a barrier as far as infrastructure, as far as venues to be able to kind of fit the caliber of talent on the continent. And that's some of the work that we're doing, trying to create a tour route on the continent by doing our Road to AfroFuture and building that out. But it's definitely going to require some investment. I do think that there is, an opportunity for artists, big superstars to start doing something to at least appease their fans on the continent. Not everybody can afford to fly out to Europe to see you or fly out to America to see you. But you do have fans on the continent. You do have fans that spend their last internet to stream your music, and it'll be great if artists tend to come out and support. One that has done that some amazing work, Ari Lennox, came out. We worked with her and we was able to get her on our stage, and we have a surprise this year. Hopefully, but we're looking to continue to work with talent where we can still pay them a fair share, but also make it make sense for the people on the continent as well.
Abdul, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day to speak with me. Good luck on this year's festival. I know it's going to be a banger, and I'm just really excited to continue to see the growth.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me. Shout out to you, and shout out to Black Enterprise.